Ignition sequence start. All engines are running.
We have taken tremendous steps.
We choose to go to the moon before this decade is out.
We have achieved the earth-shaking, the breathtaking, the groundbreaking,
One small step for man,
and left a mark in the heavens. Our successes build one upon another and amplify what is possible.
The dawn of Orion.
It's time we take the next great leap. We're building the next chapter of American exploration, returning to the moon to stay, so we can go beyond to Mars, to expand what's possible and further our understanding. The architecture for these missions is already taking shape. We will go with new systems, bold designs, and a sustainable mission. You can hear it, taste it, touch it. We are going. We are training, testing, pressing our pioneering spirit into every component, defining our resolve with every line of code, and securing our success with every welcomed partnership. This is not hypothetical. This is not about flags and footprints. This is about sustainable science and feeding forward the advance of the human spirit. Because we are the pioneers, the star sailors, the thinkers, the visionaries, the doers. And because we stand on the shoulders of giants to go farther than humanity has ever been, we will add our names to the rolls of the greatest adventurers in history. Every day, every mission, we advance this calling. We are NASA. And after 60 years, we're just getting started.
T-minus 14 minutes, 7 seconds, and continuing to count down. Everything is still looking good for launch of Falcon 9 and Dragon. That'll occur 17 minutes and 12 seconds after the hour. As a recap, Falcon 9 began propellant loading at T-minus 35 minutes. We just heard loading of the RP-1 fuel. The kerosene fuel on stage 2 was completed right on time at T-minus 20 minutes. We've still got fuel going onto the first stage. Looks like we're about 90% or so full right now. Fuel loading will finish up at T-minus 6 minutes, and we'll hear that call out in the countdown. Meanwhile, densified liquid oxygen is continuing to load onto both the first and second stages. First stage will close out at T-minus 3 minutes. The second stage, we just began loading liquid oxygen at T-minus 16 and a half minutes just a few minutes ago. That'll wrap up at the T-minus 2 minute mark. Now we load the liquid oxygen as late as we can in the countdown. It's densified. That means it's ultra cold, well below the boiling point of liquid oxygen. That lets us put as much as we can on the vehicle for performance. And getting it on board the vehicle just before liftoff means it won't warm up, where you start to lose the ability to put liquid oxygen onto the stages, into the tank. In the quantities we want. So it stays nice and cold, it doesn't bleed off, and that gives us the performance we need on Falcon 9. Continuing on, Falcon 9, checkouts of the thrust vector controllers, what we call TVC wiggles, you may hear that term, they're coming up. We're also going to be doing throttle valve checkouts on the Merlin engines. That helps control the power of the engines as we go through flight. For example, you hear a throttle down or throttle up as we prepare for the period of maximum dynamic pressure. As we come up on the 12-minute mark, the range continues to be go. Roadblocks are up, all the hazard areas are clear. Airspace, sea space is good. The weather is go. Beautiful shots you can see here, blue skies. I'm looking forward to some great views from the cameras as we head into space. And then finally on the Dragon side, the Dragon mission director and team, they're reporting no issues. We've done the communication checkouts with the crew. You can see the crew access arm has retracted into the launch position. You can see Dragon now with the strung back of the transport erector and the umbilical is going to Dragon alongside of it. We've also armed the launch escape system, and obviously the crew is strapped in the Dragon capsule and they're ready to go. Final instructions of the crew will come in about a minute and a half at T-10. We'll listen to that. The crew displays will be configured for launch, and that setup will give the crew insight into how the launch is proceeding, and it provides constant updates on vehicle health. At T-5 minutes, we'll be in the terminal count for Dragon. Dragon will transition to internal power, going to its onboard batteries and off of the external ground power. We're going to hear continued callouts on the countdown net as we go from T-10 to 0, and then as we fly after T0 and liftoff, we'll hear callouts as we head into space. And that'll be letting the crew know as they reach each of the milestones. Now, next big event coming up at T-10 minutes is we're going to do launch commit criteria, and final instructions will be going to the crew. One other thing that you will hear is during ascent you may hear 1 Alpha, 1 Bravo, 2 Alpha. These are launch escape states. As the Falcon 9 flies, if a launch escape was required, the crew on board knows where they are passing various points in the countdown, and that would tell Dragon what sequence of events to execute to come off of the Falcon 9 and bring the crew back safely down under the parachutes in the ocean. Right now, T-10 minutes. Let's listen in to the countdown now.
Dragon, SpaceX, confirmed crew displays are configured for launch.
SpaceX Endeavour, we confirm they're configured.
Copy MLA, and on behalf of the entire SpaceX team, we're honored to have you aboard Endeavour for its 3rd flight to the International Space Station. Axiom 1 marks a new step in commercial spaceflight and research. We wish you a great mission, good luck, Godspeed, and enjoy the ride.
Thanks for those words, Arthur. I've got a few of my own. I'm going to let my crewmate Eitan say it first, though.
שלום. כמה ימים לפני שאנחנו מציינים את המסע הגדול שלנו לחירות, and a few minutes before launching on this journey, I wish to share with you the words of the Greek poet Constantine Cavafy that well describe the perspective of our marvelous crew. Keep Ithaca always in your mind. Arriving there is what you are destined for, but do not hurry the journey at all. Better if it lasts for years. So you are old by the time you reach the island, wealthy with all you have gained on the way, not expecting Ithaca to make you rich. Ithaca gave you this marvelous journey. בהצלחה X1, בהצלחה רקיע.
Thank you, Eitan. I'm going to continue far less elegantly or eloquently, but as we sit here on the precipice of this new era in human spaceflight, we do so on the shoulders of professionals at SpaceX, NASA, and Axiom. We want to thank all the teams at SpaceX, Falcon 9, Dragon, the launch team, of course, closeout team, all of the folks in mission control, and of course our training teams. With NASA, boy, it's been tough. You know, the first time was always hard, and there's no playbook. It's all open field running, but with ISS program, commercial LEO development, and flight operations, we've learned a lot, and we'll continue to do so. We want to thank Cam and Seth for their vision, but especially all the people at Axiom for putting this mission together with the amount of miracles that they perform. All of you, make no mistake, are the men and the women in the arena. Your faces are marred, if metaphorically, by their best sweat and blood, and you strive valiantly. You will have no place with their cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. The crew of the great ship Endeavour is ready to sail her proudly, Arthur.
Some heartfelt words there.
Stage 1 engine chill has started.
All right, so there was the call that we have begun to chill the engines on the first stage. So what we're doing right now is flowing a little bit of the super chilled liquid oxygen through the turbo pumps on those M1D engines. There's 9 of them at the base of the first stage. And that's essentially bringing them down to the temperature of that super chilled liquid oxygen to prevent any thermal shock to the hardware. Just before that call, some really heartfelt words from Commander MLA and Mission Specialist Eitan Stiba. Really love hearing that commentary.
Stage 1, RP load is complete.
At this point in time, fuel is fully loaded on both the first and second stage. LOX loading continues on both stages.
Coming up on 5.5 minutes. Kate's let us know that we've got the fuel load complete. Next is coming up. We're T-minus 5 minutes. Dragon will be transitioning configuration for terminal count and going on its internal battery power. Everything continues to look good as we're counting down.
Dragon is in configure for terminal count.
Falcon 9 tanks are pressing for strongback retracts.
Heard the call out. We're pressurizing the tanks for strongback retract. We'll hear a sequence momentarily. Strongback is retracting. Actually, that's the start of about a 1-minute sequence. In about T-minus 4 minutes, the clamp arms that you can see there will open. And then we will see the retract from there. So we've heard the call out. That's the start of the sequence. Doesn't mean that the clamp arms are late opening. It'll take us a few more seconds.
As you can hear, the excitement and the crowd is really growing here at SpaceX headquarters at Hawthorne, California. There you can see the clamp arms have begun to open. And next we should see the strong back begin to retract. This structure is what we basically use to transport the fully integrated vehicle to and from the hangar to the launch pad. And there you can see that strong back retraction has begun. Everything continued to look phenomenal as we're now under 3.5 minutes until launch. RP1 fuel is fully loaded on first and second stage. Should be wrapping up LOX load on the first stage momentarily and continuing to fill on second stage.
Stage 1, LOX load is complete.
We're under 3 minutes until liftoff of the Axiom 1 mission.
Dragon is in terminal count and is on internal power.
All right, there we heard that Dragon is on internal power. As I was saying, we're getting close. The crowds are growing. The excitement is palpable. You can see there on the left-hand side of your screen, Mission Control here in Hawthorne, California, just behind where John and I are. And then on the right-hand side, that looks like Axiom Mission Control.
That looks like Axiom Mission Control in Houston, Texas. Everybody's waving and saying, hey.
All right, at this point in time, that LOX load on first stage is complete. So the first stage is now fully loaded with all of its propellant. LOX load on second stage continues. As we've mentioned before,
Stage 2, LOX load is complete.
All right, so there's that call. At this point in time, Falcon 9
Dragon is in auto idle.
Dragon is fully loaded with all of its propellants, nearly 1 million pounds of that propellant.
Next event coming up
Gas closeout has started.
right
Expect
now,
venting.
the gas closeouts. We finished pressurizing the storage tanks on board the Falcon 9. They gave the crew the heads up, and they hear some loud venting noises. We're also going to vent down the liquid oxygen line that carried the LOX up to the second stage. Generates a typical large white cloud of condensation around the strong bed. Big event coming up now, T-minus 1 minute. All the flight computers take over. Let's listen in to the last minute of terminal count.
FTS is armed. Falcon 9 is in startup and now controlling.
Dragon is in countdown.
Dragon, SpaceX, go for launch.
SpaceX Endeavor, we acknowledge. Go for launch.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Stop. Go Falcon, go Dragon. Godspeed, Axiom 1.
Copy 1 Alpha.
Together, a new chapter begins. Godspeed, AX-1.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
T plus 38 seconds into this historic mission, flying crew on board Dragon and Falcon 9.
Alright, telemetry nominal.
Stage 1 throttle down.
Throttling down in the preparation for max dynamic pressure.
Falcon 9 is supersonic. Execute. Stage 1 throttle up.
Merlin 1D engines coming back up to power.
1 Bravo.
Copy 1 Bravo.
The crew calling out 1 Bravo should an escape situation arise. It tells the Dragon flight computer what profile to fly using the Super Draco engines. But everything is looking good on Falcon 9. We're getting nominal callouts from all the engineers and a great view from the ground camera and the onboard cameras.
Invac chill underway.
Beginning to chill in the second stage turbo pump in preparation for its ignition coming up in just over half a minute from now. Coming up on about 3.5 G's acceleration for the crew. We'll begin throttling down the Merlin engines to hold that level of acceleration. Next event coming up, we're going to get main engine cutoff of the 9 engines. Get stage separation and ignition of the second stage engine. You've heard the throttle down call out. We're holding 3.5 G's for the crew.
And Miko. Age separation 3. Copy 2 Alpha. Invac ignition.
Successful stage separation and ignition of the second stage engine. On the left, the titanium grid fins beginning to slowly deploy. Great views from the first stage camera. The first stage now begins a slow flip maneuver. You can see the white nitrogen gas plumes as we reorient for an entry back through the Earth's atmosphere a little bit later in the plus count. Second stage, we see the engine nozzle glowing red. Everything continuing to look good on the second stage. We should be hearing call-outs coming up to the crew here shortly on how the trajectory is looking.
Dragon, SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
It's what we like to hear.
Acquisition of signal, Bermuda.
AOS Bermuda, acquisition of signal. The Bermuda tracking station now getting telemetry from the second stage of the Falcon 9 with the Dragon on top. T plus 4 minutes, 10 seconds. Everything continues to be nominal. First stage coasting to apogee, and then it will come back down for landing on the drone ship. Second stage, partway through its lengthy burn to get the crew into orbit. So Kate, 4.5 minutes in, everything continues to look good.
What a absolutely picture-perfect liftoff. We've got a live view of the crew inside Dragon Endeavour. Looks like everyone is still pretty comfy. As John had said earlier, we got
Dragon, SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
All right, good call out there that trajectory is nominal.
Never we copy.
As John mentioned, we got to about 3.5 Gs there.
Acquisition of signal, New Hampshire.
On the left-hand side of your screen, we can see the first stage as it is making its way back down to Earth. It's targeting a landing on our drone ship, a Shortfall of Gravitas, which is parked a couple hundred miles off the coast of Florida out in the Atlantic Ocean. Second stage on the right-hand side, everything continues to be nominal there as the MVAC engine is powering the second stage and Dragon Endeavour to its targeted drop-off orbit. Absolutely beautiful views of both the first and second stages.
SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
All right, so coming up in about 1.5 minutes, the first stage will execute the first of 2 burns required for today's landing attempt. At about T plus 7 minutes and 30 seconds, we'll see the entry burn begin. That's where the first stage will ignite the center engine first, and then a couple seconds later ignite 2 more engines, so a total of 3 engine burn, which will last about 29 seconds. The entry burn slows the vehicle down significantly as it re-enters back into the Earth's atmosphere. The first stage sees high drag, which scrubs roughly 70% of that velocity by the time that the landing burn begins. Stunning view where you can see the curvature of the Earth there on the left-hand side.
Dragon, SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
SpaceX is never we copy.
There you can see the nitrogen gas thrusters. So that's the puff of gas that you see there occasionally. That's used for attitude control systems. We also utilize those grid fins that you see. There are 4 of them placed around the booster. And those grid fins also help steer for a precise landing. Either at
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
Stage 2 flight.
All right, there we can see that that entry burn has begun. We are targeting a landing on our drone ship, a Shortfall of Gravitas today. Everything continuing to look nominal with trajectory and MVAC performance there for our second stage on the right-hand side. So we are conducting the entry burn. Previously, the booster was...
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
That entry burn helps slow the booster down. It was going about 25 times the speed of sound. So we slow it down as it re-enters the dense part of the Earth's atmosphere. The next event is second engine cutoff, or SECO. 1, as you see it there on the timeline at the bottom of your screen.
Stage 2 and terminal guidance.
That's where we shut down the MVAC engine, or second engine cutoff.
Copy, Shannon.
Stage 1 transonic.
Note that our landing burn and second engine cutoff will occur about the same time.
Shutdown.
All right, we got a live view of the crew inside Dragon Endeavour there on the right-hand side of your screen.
Stage 1 landing burn.
Landing burn has begun for the first stage.
SpaceX, nominal orbit insertion.
All right, great news there. Dragon Endeavour, nominal orbit insertion.
SpaceX Endeavour, we copy, and it's great to be here. 0G, and we feel fine.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
SpaceX Dragon launch skip system disarmed.
As you can see, this Falcon 9 has landed for the 5th time. All the while, great commentary there.
Landing confirmed.
While we can confirm the landing, confirmed landing there of the first stage booster. Also, almost simultaneously, great news for the second stage. We heard that there was nominal orbit insertion for Crew Dragon Endeavour. There you can see a live view inside our Dragon. Looks like the crew is beginning to adjust to 0G. And if you look at the right-hand side corner, it looks like we can see the 0G indicator.
That was one of mine. That was one of the things I really wanted to see, what they were going to bring for their 0G indicator. So I can't wait to see what comes on.
It looks, I can't quite tell, Pokemon. Maybe. Okay. Well, hopefully it'll come into closer view.
Yeah,
but
and if not, we'll get to ask them later, hopefully.
Yeah, great to see the crew here again, starting to really getting their first taste of microgravity.
Yeah.
Oh, it has ears. Oh, it's a bunny. Is that
like
Thumper?
I think it might be.
I think that's Thumper from Bambi. Love it. So right now, the second stage is basically preparing for Dragon separation. We are the next step now that, as we said, Dragon has nominal orbital insertion. The second stage and Dragon will separate. Views there of our MVAC engine now shut off, no longer glowing that lovely shade of orange. Right now, the second stage is about 200 kilometers above Earth. Preparing now for stage separation. Or excuse me, for Dragon separation. For those of you that have just recently joined us, we had an on-time liftoff of the Axiom 1 crew. They are now in space and coming up to separation from second stage, at which point they will then begin to make their journey, continue their journey to the International Space Station. The view that you're currently looking at is inside the Dragon trunk, which, as you can see, has just separated from the second stage.
Dragon separation confirmed.
On behalf of the Falcon 9 team, welcome to space. Thanks for flying Falcon 9. You guys enjoy your trip to that wonderful space station in the sky. Do some great research for us. We'll look to see you back here underground. Now stand by for some words from LD.
And MLA and the rest of the crew Endeavor, glad we got to have some fun this morning. We'll probably be calling an early weekend over here at the Cape. Pass you over to Anna and the team. You'll be in good hands. Godspeed, Endeavor. Enjoy the rest of your flight. Cheers.
Hey, Mark, it was a lot of fun. I venture to guess we had a little bit more than you did. We thank you and your launch team, Girth, you and the Falcon 9 team. That was a hell of a ride, and we're looking forward to the next 10 days.
All right, some nice words there from a couple of key folks. Our first Quindar tone of the mission.
Yeah. I queued up right when I heard that.
There we can
expected loss of signal, Bermuda and New Hampshire.
There we can see Dragon Endeavour on its way to the International Space Station. It has separated. There's a view
Dragon
inside.
36, we had nominal dehumidifier activation and service section Draco checkouts.
There we can see over the shoulder of
SpaceX Endeavour, we copy, over.
Over the shoulder, previously Commander MLA was on the left and pilot Larry Connor was on the right. Live view inside the cabin. They just got the okay to lift their visors.
All right.
All right. So we can see that everyone is in space.
Yeah.
We can see that zero-G indicator floating around. Great view there of Dragon Endeavour. Now in space with the Axiom 1 crew on their way to the International Space Station.
Yeah, I mean, this is a day of firsts. You know, this is my first time getting to participate in a launch like this. This is the first for Axiom. I mean, this is a first for spaceflight. And it's just wonderful to see such a picture-perfect launch.
It really was.
We saw the landing, and we saw orbital or zero-G insertion at the same time. I mean, that was perfect.
Yeah.
It was wonderful to see.
We are going. The history of this agency is marked with broken barriers, once viewed as impossible, with science fiction turned reality, with innovations that have spun industries all their own, and with demonstrations of peace for all humankind.
We soar in the skies of our home planet. We maintain a human presence just outside of gravity, and we touch points all across the solar system and beyond. We're going back to the moon, and this is why.
The moon is a treasure trove of science.
It holds opportunities for us to make discoveries about our home planet, about our sun,
and about our solar system.
The wealth of knowledge to be gleaned from the moon will inspire a new generation of thought and action.
Without fail, every major program and mission NASA has invested in has led to technologies and capabilities that have shaped our culture.
The breakthroughs of the Artemis era will define our generation and the generations to follow.
The tens of thousands of jobs associated with propelling us to the moon today are just the beginning of a lunar economy that will see hundreds of thousands of new jobs develop around the world.
This is not an ambition of one entity or one country. The exploration of the moon is a shared effort,
woven together by a desire for the greater good.
Why the moon? Because the missions of tomorrow will be sparked by the accomplishments of the Artemis generation today.
Because the ambition to go has already begun.
And because Mars is calling. We need to learn what it takes to establish a community on another cosmic shore. So let's camp close before pushing out.
And so, we go to the moon now, not as a series of isolated missions, but to build a community on and around the moon capable of proving how to live on other worlds.
We'll use the lessons from more than 50 years of peaceful exploration to send a new generation to the lunar surface to stay.
We will anchor our efforts on the lunar South Pole to establish the Artemis Base Camp,
positioning us for long-term science and exploration of the lunar surface.
We will prove what it takes to assemble a complex ship in deep space.
We will perfect ascending down to and returning from a distant surface.
We will learn how humans can survive and thrive in a partial gravity environment.
With improved spacesuit designs, mobile habitats, and with reconnaissance robots pre-positioning and relocating supplies.
We will learn how to utilize the resources we find on these other worlds, starting with finding water ice and purifying it to drinkable water.
And refining that into hydrogen for fuel and oxygen to breathe.
We will establish fission power plants on the surface of the moon, capable of supporting a growing community of efforts.
And we will expand the logistics supply chain
to enable commercial and international partners
to resupply and refuel deep space outposts.
None of this is simple or easy, but nothing in our history ever has been.
The Eagle has landed. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot.
This kind of continuous lunar presence is a natural extension of all that we've learned in low Earth orbit. And what we will accomplish there will ensure the monumental missions to Mars are within reach. As we ready the launch of the first Artemis mission, and as commercial companies ready their lunar landers for the first private payload deliveries, we have already begun to take the next step.